Hey, what's up, rock stars? It's Rocks. Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so today on our Let's Talk About It, you guys already know that I split up top of the blogs recently just so that I can talk about more sensitive subjects over here and not have to worry about my entire video being flagged and demonetized. I'm not sure if they will or won't, but you know, better safe than sorry. So, yeah, over here we're going to be talking about today the killing of Rayshard Brooks. We have to start off there. You guys are familiar with the story, I am sure. It is the man, the 27, I believe he was 27-year-old man who was in the Wendy's drive-through. He had fallen asleep in his car in the middle of the drive-through, and he was keeping people from being able to pull around in the window and get their food, you know, pay for their food and get their food. After the Wendy's employee there tried to wake him up, tell him to pull over into the parking lot and maybe sleep it off, they could not get him awake. So they called the police, and the police came out. Garrett Rolfe, he was a 7-year police employee, and Devin Brosnan, who has been a police for 2 years. They both showed up and proceeded to get him awake, get him out the car, talked to him for about 30 minutes, which is excessively long. I'm not sure what we need to be talking 30 minutes about. At any rate, had him do a field sobriety test. He did not pass the test. And up until now, everything is going well. Everybody is talking. There's no heightened emotion. It didn't feel like it was going to go left. It just literally looked like a guy that was inebriated, and you know, that this was going to be some sort of DUI. Now, you guys know that when you're behind the wheel of a car and you're drunk in the car, that is considered DUI, even if the car is not moving, even if it is parked. That is why a lot of times when people are told to sleep it off in their car, and I actually believe that anywhere in the car, if you're in the car, is considered a DUI, but I'm not positive about that. My rock star lawyers, the real ones, y'all know who y'all are. Y'all weigh in and let me know. Could he have went into the back seat and fallen asleep and avoided a DUI charge? I mean, you know, technically he could have just been in the back seat sleep. Her friend could have been driving and got out and left. Okay. I mean, that's what they could say. So I'm not sure if that would go, but definitely if he's sitting behind the wheel of the car, that's going to be a DUI. So I would have assumed that that's what would have happened in this case, but as Garrett Rolfe, I believe, was reaching to grab his hand to handcuff him, Rayshard snatched his hand back, and from then on, the resisting of the arrest had started. Now, they got into a fight. Rayshard, by all accounts, was getting with their ass. I mean, he was very strong, and he was able to pretty much ward both of them off as they both was on the, on him. They were tumbling around. I was like, this is not going to be good. It's never good when you're fighting with the police. Okay. When they were talking to him, when things weren't, hadn't gone left, he had already told them that he did not have a weapon. So they were aware of that. However, he was whooping their ass. Okay. For lack of better words, he was whooping their ass, and I can imagine emotions get high, adrenaline get high. You mad because now you fighting when you didn't have no intentions of that. I'm sure the mindset of the police was like, okay, it had been changed to something else. So in the struggle, after he flipped them around, he was able to grab one of their taser guns, okay? And from the angle that I saw, I've seen a couple of different angles by now, but originally I just saw him run by this guy's door, because this guy was recording from his vantage point was his car. I saw the Rayshard run by the door, and then the police were giving chase, okay? So they were behind him. He had the taser, and in the original video that I saw, you could just hear the 3 shots, pow, 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 okay? And I'm assuming then that that's when he was killed. Now, when you see the actual full surveillance camera that's probably from a business right across the way, you can actually see him running, the police, one police behind him, I believe it was Garrett. The other one did not run after him. He kind of stayed back behind, at least in the frame of what I had seen when the actual shooting went down. So Rayshard turns around, but he's still running, but he aims the taser gun back at the police. And then when he turns back around, the police, Garrett, I'm assuming, shoots him in his back. There is more video, evidently, where they're saying that Garrett and Devin are actually standing on top of him. Supposedly one of them kicks him. I haven't seen that video, but they're saying that the video exists after they had, shot him, I guess because they were frustrated from the fight that just happened and all of this. Okay. And that was all caught on surveillance. Immediately, the 2 police officers were fired the very next day. The mayor said originally, which was Keisha Lansbottom, because these were Atlanta Police Department, police officers, said that it was use of excessive force. The Wendy's in question that had actually called the police, the protesters, well, depending on who you ask, now they're saying that it was a white woman that came and set the fire. They do have video of somebody looking like they were doing something there, but they're trying to find this woman. Of course, before we knew that, and I don't know if we even know that as a fact, but before that happened, they were saying the protesters had burned down the Wendy's. Okay, and that it was a big protest over there. You guys know there have been protests all over Atlanta. We almost going on a month, it feels like. I know we're over 21 days of just continual pressure on the city and the counties and everything for some change with police brutality, abuse of suspects or victims or whatever you want to call it is happening. It's going down in Atlanta. Now, yesterday we were trying to wait to see if the police officers were going to be charged, and they were. DA Howard actually charged them both with felony murder. And so they've been arrested, and it has really set off a lot of controversy here in Atlanta, because some people are saying that, you don't want the police to do their jobs, that they are in a full fight with him. It wasn't like he was just standing there and that they shot him. You have that side of the argument, and then you have the other side of the argument where people are saying you didn't have to shoot him, you didn't have to kill him. He was running away. There was no immediate threat towards the police, and there should have been some other way to de-escalate this situation. But of course, we all know that the troubling part in this is the scuffle with the police. I know for a fact that most times if you are a black person and you get into a fight with the police, they're going to shoot you. It's an unfortunate fact because it doesn't happen across the board in all races, but 9 times out of 10, you get into a fight with the police, they are going to shoot you, okay? So I knew that he was about to get shot from all of that scuffling. As soon as he yanked his arm back, I knew it was about to go. It was not going to be good. It was not going to be good, and here we are today. Rayshard is gone, dead and gone. His 3 children. He has 3 daughters. He has a stepson, I believe, as well. They don't have their Rayshard Brooks any longer. They've lost on their end. On the police department's end, they are, there's a lot of Atlanta police who are upset about this charge, who have decided to call out, call out sick, and even some have resigned and have, from what I understand, what I've heard is some of them are going to the Clayton Police Department to, because they're just so against of what's going on in Atlanta. Of course, right now, with the hotbed of politics and all of the rioting and the protesting that's been going on, this on top of all of that, it definitely changes the scope of this investigation. It is political now, and people are watching, which is putting the pressure on the DA and everybody else to really bring this to some sort of, charge, really a murder. They want these 2 guys to be charged with murder. What do you guys think about it, though? I want to know if you guys feel like the police should have de-escalated in some kind of way? Or are you along the way of thinking that if you fight with the police, then chances are you are going to be, it could have some lethal repercussions to it? I just wish that they hadn't shot and killed him. Not quite sure why they gave him so much rope to sit there and talk so long. I don't understand. Were they just really enjoying the conversation? I don't know why all that had to go the way that it went. It's just an unfortunate situation altogether. When you think about this story and you think like, okay, this just gives the others the chance to say, well, he was breaking the law, he was fighting with the police, he was drunk, and so it's harder to argue against, argue what the police should have done in a situation like this, but we've seen white folks get into fights with the police and fight for 15 minutes. You guys saw there's a video going around recently of a guy who got into a fight with the police. I mean, they tumbled and rumbled and tumbled around. The guy took off running. The police chased after him. The guy runs around and gets in the police car and steals the car. The police never has shot at the guy. The police never. And we've seen this time and time again in videos of where the police will have all of the patience of Job, when they are getting into a arrest resist situation with somebody, but immediately when it's a black person, the first thought is to shoot and kill. So yeah, people are definitely going to be watching this because this case is wrapped in all kind of political intentions as well. But when you remove all the political parts of it, Rayshard Brooks is not here. His family is fatherless, husbandless, and sonless. It's just a sad situation, you guys, and there's a lot going on in Atlanta, and I would not want to be Keisha Lance Bottoms right now. Although Keisha Lance Bottoms is the it girl. I mean, I have seen her everywhere. I've even heard her name getting thrown into the hat as a possible vice president pick for Joe Biden. I'm not sure if she has aspirations of going there like that, but like I said, the camera loves her and the media loves her, and I have seen her on talk shows and discussions and town hall meetings and interviews and articles and everything. They're all over Keisha Lance Bottoms. So I know the pressure has to be astronomically high on her right now. As a woman, I'm sure she doesn't want to show weakness, and is trying to make the best decisions that she can, but it's a whole lot. That's a whole lot for Miss Keisha Lance Bottoms. I wouldn't want to be her right now. But yeah, you guys let me know what you think about this case. Was it as cut and dry for you as it was for us when we saw George Floyd be killed by the police? Or do you feel like there are reasons in this case for us to look a little bit closer and try to see, who really was at fault here? You guys let me know in the comments about that below. Let's talk about the neighborhood in Seattle, Capitol Hill. I should have talked to my cousin about this now that I think about it, because I could have really got a little bit of background about that area. But in Seattle, there's an autonomous zone in Capitol Hill. Some of them are called, some call it Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. Some call it Free Capitol Hill. Some call it Capitol Hill Organized Protest, Capitol Hill Occupy Project, or Protest, I'm sorry. There's a bunch of different names for it, but basically it's a stretch of 6 city blocks in Seattle and a park that have been taken over by the people when the Seattle Police Department vacated the East Precinct there, okay? You guys know from the protests for George Floyd, they were already protesting that. Tensions were getting higher and higher in that neighborhood. They started to surround the police department building, and that mob grew and grew and grew, and the police department was starting to feel they were starting to feel threatened there. They had boarded up the windows, and people were still being there, throwing things at the building, you know, chanting out front, flashbangs. There was a whole bunch going on there. The police, I guess, began to feel unsafe, and they left the building. Still, depending on who you ask, you know, because the chief says she didn't tell them to leave, you know, and, you know, so everybody is kind of just, nobody knows who gave the order for them to leave. They decided to leave. When they left, the people, first, they weren't really sure what was going on here, because this is not something that we see, police retreating, you know, but first they weren't really sure what happened. But then on June 7th, I believe it is, they finally went on ahead and took over the precinct, went in there, moved in. They put up roadblocks and things so that they kept the police out, and they have people that are signed on to protect that area with guns and everything. You guys, something I have never ever seen. I didn't research this and check my history on it, but I haven't seen any, I don't remember hearing or seeing anything like this in my times of being alive, of people just successfully taking over, you know, some city blocks like this. So, interesting fact. Now, they've been at this since June 7th. Today is what, the 18th or something. So it's been 10, 11 days, and now everybody is wondering, what is the end game? Like, what are you guys hoping to achieve from this? The police have not forced themselves back into this area because city officials and all are trying to figure out a way that they can peacefully, you know, integrate some of the things that the people want, along with what the law what the police need to do as their job, how we can kind of mix that all together and come to a solution that's, it makes everybody happy. Okay, so they haven't tried to force their way back in, because it will be probably a lot of people would lose their lives. There's a lot of people there. When you see it on the commercials, not the commercials, when you see it on the news, it is a whole bunch of people there, and you know, you just kind of get the feeling like, oh my God, I hope it doesn't become like people trying to, who's in charge, you know, who's decided that this is the person that's going to be making the decisions or things like that. You know how that can go when people don't agree on certain things, how it can erupt into something else. I don't want it to be lawless down there, but evidently these people have been able to run it smoothly up until now. But eventually they're going to have to get some sort of regulated things for this area. Now, I'm not sure if it's just for these 6 blocks, you know, city blocks, and the park there, but I'm gonna tell you guys what they're asking for. Okay, so what are they asking for? Well, obviously they want to defund the police. Okay, that's been a big word that's been going around. At first, when I first heard about it, when they kept saying defund and dismantle the police department, I was like, now what is this? But after I started to read about it and look into it, I was like, yo, well, definitely, you know, I work for the government. I do the budget for my office, and I can remember, I mean, it's always been public safety has gotten the bulk of the money, okay? And it gets larger and larger every year as the police bring in, like, you know, you hear all this talk about the militarization of the police department, them having tanks and them having, you know, I mean, they have things that you're thinking like, if you're just supposed to be keeping us safe, you know, what you need all this for? You know, it's not the National Guard. You know, this is just the police department. So, demilitarizing the police department, I'm definitely with that. Okay, most of the people that works for the police department have been in the military, so that's where the thinking. I don't know that for a fact, but I know that a lot of the police officers that I know, they were all in the military. Okay, so there's already that militarized thinking there, and then, you know, as they bring in all these different weapons and tactics that you would think like, are you guys trying to protect us? Are you guys trying to fight us? You know? So I'm with defunding, definitely moving some of that money around. Okay, public health can take it. Parks and Recs can take it. Of course, transportation can take it when you look at the roads and how jacked up the city roads can be, you know, and infrastructure and things like that. They want to ban the police from using firearms, from using batons, from using riot gear. Okay, I don't know about. See, that's the part where you say, so if they're not using firearms, then how are we holding these people? You know, because the movement doesn't stop criminal activity from happening. There's still people that's out there that's doing illegal things. And what happens in that case? So, you know, there's still some things that I have to read up on to find out, well, what is the alternative if you guys are saying that we are not going to have firearms, not going to have, you know, batons or anything that keeps people, you know, keeps any kind of order, then what is the, you know, what else would they be doing? There's a girl that's walking like right in front of the car. Girl, don't you see me in this car? Go on around this damn car. Y'all gonna see her walk by in a second. Nosebud. They also want to have people that were in jail for marijuana charges, they want them to be released. People that have been serving time for violent crimes, they want their cases retried. So some things that they're asking, I feel like, are more simple than other thing. But those are kind of what they're asking for: free education, you know, free college education, and things of that nature. But I think that this is a very special time because people are willing to come to the table and talk to the people about what we can do to make the community work for everybody involved. And I guess a lot of eyes are going to be on Capitol Hill and trying to see how they come out when we talk about all the other cities across the nation that are also clamoring for defunding the police. I know there have been some cities that have been successful with it. I didn't look into that either, but it has been done. So it's not an impossible feat, but it's going to require a lot of planning and strategizing and getting everybody together and people being, you know, agreeing on things. And so it's going to be a lot. It is going to be a lot, but I'm definitely with defunding the police. Definitely with it. I'm not sure about getting rid of them altogether, but like a lot of people have explained to me, Roxanne, the police are doing jobs that they shouldn't even be doing. If there's a suspect that has mental health issues, mentally ill, you got the police there, all they know are the tactics of taking down somebody. But when this person is mentally ill, wouldn't it help to have a counselor along with them that could possibly tell you, okay, no, he is just in a manic state, or she is just in a state right now, maybe we can just try to talk to them and bring, you know, try to bring some other solution to this. I can't tell you how many times that we've seen cases where people were mentally ill, you know, out in the street, completely naked, obviously don't have any weapons, and then the police still shoot and kill them. Okay, when there is no immediate threat to the police, a person could be across the way, you know, and the police, just because their whole training, their whole way of thinking is just to take this person down, you know, you've killed somebody who could just use some hospitalization. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with Capitol Hill or the autonomous zone or CHOP or whatever you call it. We'll see if they're successful in it. But I was watching on the news last night, they were interviewing some people there, and some people are starting to get frustrated, like, okay, what's the next, you know, what are we doing next? So I think that's where we are now. Okay, we done took it over. What's going to happen next? And then, you guys, we can talk about these public hangings that have been going on. So far, there have been 6, I believe, 6 people who have been found hanging in public places. 1 woman, I think they said it was 4 men and 1 teenage boy. And this has happened in places, Oregon. We've had a couple of cases in Palmdale, California. We had something happen in Houston and New York City. Okay, so even though in the grand scheme of things, 6 people is not a lot when we think about the millions and millions and millions of people that are in these cities. However, 1 public lynching, that already ought to tell you that there's something happening here. You know, people, not even black people, but historically, I don't know any person that's trying to hang themselves or kill themselves would go to a public place in front of a courthouse or in front of an elementary school or and hang themselves. We just don't do that. Okay, that is definitely being lynched. Nobody is going to, if they are going to hang themselves and they have access to being able to do it in their home or, you know, somewhere like that, then that's where they're doing it. They're not trying to do it in public. And so these are very clearly lynchings. But then now I'm reading that the police are saying, you know, due to witnesses and surveillance camera, that these people hung themselves. Okay, all I can say is I need to see the surveillance cameras. I need to see a video of somebody, you know, cleverly throwing something over the branch of a tree and making sure that they get it. You know, how we getting up there? Do they have a ladder? Like, what is happening for these people to be able to hang themselves? There's no way I'm going to believe that until I see, and I mean, I better see a real clear video of these people doing it. It makes no sense to me. It's very clear that it's suicide. Not suicide. It's very clear that it's lynchings, that it's homicides. I'm never going to believe that somebody just decided to hang themselves by suicide like that. I'm just not going to believe that. So we're going to wait and see what the surveillance cameras are saying about that, and I want them to release it. I want to see. In the meantime, people out there, everybody needs to be safe. I worry so much about my kids being out. You know, I worry about them wanting to be out late at night with their friends, you know, just trying to live their lives and not realizing that all it takes is, you know, something to happen. And next thing you know, you done been kidnapped and decided, you know, that somebody's decided to make an example out of you by hanging you. So I just want everybody to reiterate to their, you know, especially their young adult children to just be mindful about their surroundings and where they're going and being by themselves. And, you know, it's not a safe time right now. It's not a safe time. And like I said, it's not many, 6 people, but really one person being hung is too many. So we just gonna put that one on the back burner too and wait and see what these surveillance cameras are saying. But do you guys believe that these people are hanging themselves out there and committing suicide? Absolutely ridiculous. Not happening, you guys, not happening. And then lastly, you guys, Juneteenth happens tomorrow. Today is Thursday, June 19th. It looks like YSAP has decided to change his rally date to the 20th. I don't even know if that has changed, because I know they were saying that Oklahoma is trying to get him to move it to an outdoor venue. I'm not sure if they found a place like that. You know, I've read different articles and talked and seen people talking about, you know, is YSAP trying to give everybody coronavirus? Why would you want to hold a rally indoors like that? It's already unsafe for them to be outdoors. And in top of the blogs, we'll talk about coronavirus and the cases spiking. But yeah, he's supposed to be having his rally this weekend. Whatever. The Juneteenth holiday, though, is tomorrow, and I call it a holiday because many people are starting to make it, you know, a national holiday. New York, the state, they have decided that next year they'll be celebrating Juneteenth as a paid holiday. I've seen Virginia, I believe they're also following suit and making it a holiday. And then there are companies, one of them being Nike, that are going to make it a paid holiday as well. So people are coming around, and, you know, I see them trying to do whatever they can to try to make Black folks happy, you know, by getting rid of statues that have been upsetting for years and years and years, getting rid of the Confederate flag, now calling Juneteenth a, you know, an actual holiday. But yeah, it's still a whole lot more to be done, you know. So thank you for Juneteenth, you know, but yeah, we still, you know, keeping up, we still applying pressure. And I think most of us is really waiting on legislation to change. I can never say it enough. You have to make sure that you vote. That's the only real way of changing the laws. Okay, it's putting the people in place who think like you think and who have your best interest in mind. So it's important to vote. But yeah, Juneteenth is a holiday. It's coming soon near you. And I think that's pretty much it for our sensitive topics today. All right, you guys, that is it. Let me get off of here. I still got to do top of the blogs and get this edited. Top of the blogs probably won't be up until tomorrow for you guys, but this will be up today, which is Thursday. Okay, make sure that you rate, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It's Rocks. The channel is for It's Rocks, and everything else I do will be in the bottom bar. All right. So I hope that you can have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, and I plan on doing the same. Till next time, rock stars. Bye.